Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wigan Fan TV. That's taken off my head there. I'll just drop down a little bit.
Oh.
Tonight is a quiz special. So joining me is Mark, Matt, and Matthew, the Wigan runner, who turned up 10 minutes early. Didn't like being early, so went off screen and arrived back 30 seconds ago. I think that's true, isn't it, Matthew?
The way I roll, find the way I'm the
Mark, good to see you. Nice yellow jersey. You were saying that you've come to the end, or you thought you'd come to the end of your jersey journey today, but you've discovered another one.
That's right. Yeah, I was. Done all my. In fact, this is the last day, kind of, on my Instagram posts and stuff, and then the Liam Farrell signed testimonial shirt arrived today. So I think I've got one for tomorrow now, haven't I?
So you're actually going to wear it, even though you signed it?
I'll put it on for a bit. That's where he signed.
He's going to wear it.
Yeah, he's going to wear it. But maybe not in public, but you're going to wear that.
I won't. I don't think I'll wear it more than the once, but yeah. Look at him.
I've just popped the registration details for the quiz at the top of the screen. So it's myquiz.org, not .com. I'm going to change that. That's a mistake. You won't get anywhere with that. Myquiz.org. Once you go on to myquiz.org, use the code 234094, and we're going to do the quiz from there at 8:15. What we'll be doing at that point. I think that's Matthew moving his phone. It's like dragging us.
No, it's not. It wasn't me. I could hear it as well. It wasn't me.
Stu on the loo again.
It is. It's Stu.
Hello, boys. How we doing?
Where have you popped up from?
Well, you sent me a call before.
That was because Matthew. Never mind. Welcome on board. Right. So the guys that are on the screen, who are on this call, you've all got a phone or something separate to do the quiz. People that are watching, if you don't want to watch us during the quiz, that's absolutely fine and completely understandable. The quiz will just run through. You don't need to wait for us. The question will be on your screen. You pop the answers in. You'll see a leaderboard throughout, so you can see who you're beating. You'll see Matt on there. You'll see Mark on there. You can compete against them and see where you'll find yourself. And then at the end of that, if you want to come back and join us for a bit of a debrief, you're more than welcome to. If you've got two screens, even better. You can have us on screen and have your quiz on your phone or something like that. But that's probably one of the easiest ways to do it. Matt, nice headphones.
Yeah, well, because I'm using my laptop today, isn't it? Because I need the two screens. So laptop means headphones. Phone means no headphones. And this is the best way I can. But they are quite fetching and warm in winter months.
Yeah. You did your poem during the week.
Yes.
Which was very nice.
I'm a poet.
You need to hashtag it with that thing that the RFL have launched today.
Yeah, it's almost like they've seen it and they were like, they want you to do it now.
Basically, they're wanting us, the rugby league community, to say what rugby league means to us, and send them loads of videos and stuff like that. So then they've got that to present to Parliament when they try and blag as much money out of them as they can, which I'm fully behind, if I'm completely honest. So yeah,
I'm completely
I'll
behind.
find the actual proper thing.
If I knew how to hashtag something, I really genuinely would do it, but I have no idea how hashtags work.
You just write the hash and then the words, but I'll. I can do it, Matt.
I would love to see your face in Parliament on those new screens that they're doing with that poem being shown, and you're the reason why we get some money into the rugby league.
It's like this, Sean.
What RL means.
Hashtag what RL means. I'll do that then.
To do a video that Actually, to be fair, the video they put together to promote it was really stirring and made me actually quite emotional watching it.
Oh, well, I'll look forward to seeing that.
I did wonder where you're going when you start with Rolf Harris. That was a little bit of a concern, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to spoil it, but the fact that you start with some sort of Rolf Harris reference, maybe you can get away with it in 2020. Maybe people have forgotten about him.
I was waiting for the wolf to appear as well.
Yeah. We were all waiting for the wolf to appear.
He's probably in it, it's just hidden. Right, so 10-minute warning. If you want to join the quiz, that's the thing at the top, myquiz.org, 234094 to join in with the quiz. Matthew, the Wigan runner, you're looking very confused. Do you know what we're doing?
Normal. You know what? I didn't, but I think I've just caught up and I've found a way to get on board now. So, got my other device sorted here, got the quiz on here, I've got my laptop on behind me, got my phone in front of me. The only thing that could go wrong is the battery going. That's the only thing that could go wrong.
So the quiz is multiple choice. There are some tricky ones in there possibly, but they've all been put together by Ewan Philips, who's a producer of Mock the Week. So this has been done by somebody who knows what he's talking about, and he obviously did
also wrote the Wigan Rugby League quiz book.
Yeah, and none of the questions that we are going to do tonight appear in that book. They're all brand new just for us. And we'll put the link on for the book that Matt's about to show, which was a nice stocking filler, but it's even better for isolation now, I guess. There's some horrendous
available from Scratch and Shed Publishing.
Yep. There's some absolutely horrendous questions in there as well, which you'll never get right, but it's worth testing yourself against them. What are you drinking, Matthew?
Oh, a latte macchiato, 59p from Aldi, bargain. Got one before. Sorry.
What run number are we up to, Matthew?
Later on, it'll be 1,215. Earlier today, I got invited to go to Hawkley Hall. Do you know at Hawkley Hall they've got all these scarecrows? Do you know about that?
I did. That's all
seen your page,
Facebook. Yeah.
There's literally nearly 300 scarecrows, and lots of people asked me to go around and run around there today. So I went round with Wigan today, and it was overwhelming. There's so many, it's incredible. So in the end, I put a post on and I said, the one that gets the most likes at 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to win 2 cinema tickets. I'm going to run to that house at Hawkley Hall after the quiz tonight, for the one that's got the most votes. So I've not checked it since then, but it got lots of shares. So
just don't get arrested.
Don't get arrested.
It's a great excuse for breaking lockdown, isn't it? I was going to visit the scarecrows.
Yeah.
How are you finding doing the runs during this lockdown? Is it prohibitive?
It's funny you say that. So at night time, it's especially around the stadium at Robin Park, it's deserted. Obviously, none of the shops are open at all, and the security aren't there even now. So it's just completely empty. You see the odd people on the bike with the hoods up, even though it's not raining. But that's another thing. It's just everywhere's empty. Obviously, I run at night most of the time, but the last few days I've actually run in the daylight. I've never seen as many runners in Wigan in my entire life, and the people I've never seen running before as well.
They've never seen themselves running.
Could only be a good thing. Yeah, could only be a good thing.
Excellent. So we're expecting a hit on Robin Park tonight, thanks to Matthew Mellin. He's just told us that there's no security there.
It's all right. None of the equipment's there, is it? The gym's all in all the players' houses.
It'll be in the shops, though. There's no security.
Everything's locked in the lounge right there.
I don't care.
And the police station is literally yards away as well.
Nice recovery. Stu, nice to see you on screen. Nice to see you not on the toilet, which is a different story from last week. Mark is still receiving therapy for that. But you've got your NHS jersey top on. We're both wearing them. Mine finally came today.
Was shopping last week. Here's one for you. Was shopping last week, and I was stopped by about 10 people in Morrison's, and they were like, "Hey, where do you get these? Where do you get these?" So expect a few messages coming towards you, Sean Lawless, because they were all like, "Oh, that's not Wigan TV." I said, "Ah, you know, like, all right." So I'll just get in touch with him. So I think I did about 12 people when about 3 when I was in the queue. So there you go.
Excellent. I think it was you modelling the t-shirts, which was when we had the biggest rush on sales, to be honest with you. So
I see Josie got hers today and all, like, you know. So
we used Josie's one to advertise it. We used I can't remember the gentleman's name today, but I think it helps when people send them through. Because people can actually see that they're real and they're not just being popped off. Right, 5-minute warning before we sort of go over to the quiz. We'll go over to the screen in just a second. But for you guys, this is just a little, just to get the sort of the matter in your head working as Matt looks confused. During the week, you answered a question that I put to you on Messenger, which was what is the most popular first name for Wigan players during the Super League era? Can everybody remember the answer?
Liam.
Okay, so there's been
Liam.
8 Liams. Can you name any of the 8 Liams and see if we can get through
Liam.
the 8?
Liam.
Are we taking it in turn to do one?
Liam.
Go on,
and Liam.
just shout them out, and I'll get the
Liam
quiz ready in the background.
Well, it's Paisley, Marshall, Forsyth, Farrell.
Yeah.
I've got 4, haven't I?
Yeah.
Cunningham.
Breverton.
Bretherson's one.
No, he was short.
There's one more in the first team at the moment.
Did we say Marshall?
Yeah, he said that.
You've got some help from Neil in the comments, which is a tricky one. So the first person to see the comments.
Liam Byrne.
That's not one of the tricky ones. I'm just going to set the quiz up in the background while these lot are talking.
So how many up to now? 6.
You're missing one. We're signing from Leeds.
It's Botham.
Liam Botham.
Liam Botham. Yeah.
And then the last one, if we've got all of them, is in the comments as well.
Oh, so we're missing one still.
He featured heavily in the 2007 throwback games recently on Wigan TV, playing on the wing.
Oh, Colburn.
Liam Colburn.
I think.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I was trying to concentrate on the screen.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Right, this is your 1 minute warning before we're going to start the quiz. The quiz is on the screen behind you guys now. Make sure you're logged in. myquiz.org. There's 31 people on there at the moment ready to join in. Enter the code 234094. What we'll do is the quiz will just run through. Don't wait for me to read out the questions. I will read out the questions, but there's only 12 seconds to answer each question. So if you're capable of reading them yourself and you give yourself more time. They're all multiple choice, like I said, and that's probably the easiest way of getting the answers, giving yourself the best possible chance of getting the answers right. Let's just make sure everybody can see that. There we go. So we've just got just over a minute. Let's see if anybody else logs in. We've got 32 people on there at the moment. Stu, what are you giving to the winner?
Stu's shot.
Business card.
I'll give someone. We'll give them 2 tickets to Empire Cinemas.
There we go.
Brilliant.
Well, I'm not a lad.
There you go. They don't expire before the end of August.
No, good question. There's a 2020. Oh, got on my laptop, my other phone. 2020, solid all year. Oh, it's gone off.
So we'll be able to watch the some Christmas releases then, maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Matthew.
They say an expiry date, but you can use whenever you want.
Okay, so there's a prize now, thanks to the Wigan runner and his vast amount of contacts. Right, let's get this quiz started.
10, 9, 8,
3,
2, 1.
Okay, question 1. Who scored Wigan's most recent try in the game against Salford? The answers are coming through. Mark Illingworth's answered. That's it. How many have we received? Sam Powell was the answer. Only 21% of you got that one right.
Oh.
Mark got it right.
Get in.
Next one. Which teenage debutante in 2019 have been on the academy books of both Preston North End, Lancashire Cricket Club, as well as Wigan?
Ooh, this is hard.
The answer to that one, Joe Shorrocks.
I didn't press an answer in time.
You've got to be quick.
You've got to be quick.
12 seconds.
My thumb was moving towards it. I was... Oh, nightmare.
Which Australian team did Joe Lydon play for during his Wigan career? Balmain Tigers, Eastern Suburbs, Sevs, or Penrith?
I'm just going to have to press something quickly now and risk it.
12 seconds. This is to separate people.
It's good, this.
Eastern Suburbs.
Eastern Suburbs,
You get it wrong.
47.8%.
Yeah, I thought it was Eastern Suburbs.
Tony and Johnny at the top of the leaderboard at the
I don't
moment.
feel like they're full seconds, these seconds.
In 1993, during Three Musketeers film, in which future Wigan player enjoyed a lock-in with Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland at his father's pub in Cornwall.
What?
Yep. Jordan James is the answer to that one.
Yes, get in.
This is a rapid quiz, so you've got to be quick. 12
Lightning.
seconds. Which Wigan coach blamed a 20-4 defeat at Hull on sprinklers being used on a dry night and making the ball slippery?
Oh, remember that,
Johnny's in the lead at the moment.
I'm going to do as badly on this quiz as I did
I
on
bet that
the
was
one on the
Frank
website
Endicott.
today. On the Wigan
Stuart
website.
Raper was the answer.
Johnny,
Johnny,
Yes.
40 points at the lead still. Or cinema tickets. Next one. Who were the opponents when Billy Boston scored on his debut in November 1953?
He finished his career at Blackpool, didn't he? But I don't think he played. I don't think
Gotta be
Blackpool
quick,
was.
Mark. I hope you've logged it.
You
Barrow
don't
was the
discuss.
answer.
No, I
Yeah, don't discuss.
Barrow,
You don't have
no,
time for
don't
this.
worry
You've got plenty of time to talk afterwards. Eyes down.
Got Blackpool
I'm doing
Stanley,
awful.
people from Blackpool Stanley on the next episode of Super League Pod.
Who lost 2 teeth and was stretchered off after a collision with Dean Sampson at Castleford in 2002? Now, a lot of people think Jamie Ainscourt. That's a trick answer that isn't in there deliberately. So,
Wasn't that in the cup final that he had his?
Oh,
Adrian
Is
Lamb, nobody
I
got
had
that
no
right.
idea.
Question 8 coming up. Johnny's still in the lead. Who was Sam Panapa and Twiggamala's Samoa coach in the 1995 Rugby League World Cup?
Who knows?
The answer, Graham Law.
I knew. Hey.
We've got a joint leader, the Key Warrior and Johnny are at the lead now. Oh, Matt, you're creeping up there. You're joint second. In May 2003, who returned from a 3-month injury absence to kick a 79th minute drop goal in Wigan's 21-20 defeat of Warrington?
Oh, press the.
The answer?
Andy Farrell, and I click on it. 1 second, I was getting a drink.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Well, no, don't.
Take his quiz phone with him.
Which former Wigan star played 50 minutes with a ruptured testicle for Warrington against Catalans?
Oh, yeah.
Jack Hughes is the answer. 79.2% of you got that right.
That seems to have been the easiest question so far, based on their percentages.
Key
Everyone
Warrior
loves
and
the
Johnny.
testicle story.
Which former Wigan wing celebrated his 100th career try at the 2019 Summer Bash by taking out a slice of malt loaf he had hidden in his sock and eating it on the pitch?
I reckon.
That was
Sean
only the fact
Ainscourt.
that I wasn't.
I haven't got one right yet.
Because you're not answering him. Who was the only Wigan player to be selected in the England squad for the World Cup Nines in Sydney in 2019? So Johnny and Key Warrior are still in front with 80 points each. The answer was George Williams. Right. I've
gone. What's happening?
I'm off the
I got
zero.
that right.
I've paused the quiz for just a few seconds, so the people that are not watching us will be highly confused. Just to give everybody a chance to get their breath back before the last few questions come on. Now, it's worth noting, because there's lots of people tying at the moment, that the last question, it will be basically fastest finger first to separate those that are tying on the leaderboard. So at the minute, Key Warrior and Johnny are tied at the top.
Why didn't you tell us? We could have built little machines to practice like in the quiz.
Hey, no coughing now, no coughing. You know that from last time? No coughing.
If you're tying somewhere on the leaderboard, and you get the last question right, if you get it right faster than your opponent, so that's Key Warrior and Johnny, we need them to reveal themselves. One of them might be Ewan.
Not in a stew way.
Yeah.
Not in a Josh Charnley way.
Are we all feeling ready to go back into it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Go for it.
Have you got one yet, Matthew?
Which of his Wigan teammates broke Sam Tompkins' arm when they were at school together?
I just clicked really fast and got it wrong.
They went at school together.
Liam Farrell, 4.2%. That was it.
It's because no one can think of the ginger magician doing anything so nasty as to break someone.
Still tying at the top between Key Warrior and Johnny. Which player joined Wigan for a club record 60,000 in 1982 before being sold to Leeds for 75,000 in 1987? The answer, David Stevenson. Only 17% of you getting that. Johnny takes a lead. 100 points for Johnny.
He signed from Rugby Union?
I think he did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's local to my area.
Including Mickey Hyam's bizarre three-way transfer in 2006. He was the last player to sign directly for Wigan from St Helens.
I've got it, sure.
Brett Goldspink.
Yes.
2 Wigan from St Helens. Matty Smith was the teaser in there.
The way around, yeah. Cheeky.
Which Super League coach was fined £1,000 for branding Sean Wayne a whinger in 2014?
Was it all of them?
It was probably a suspended. You can't change your answer. It was probably a suspended fine anyway, wasn't it? Knowing the RFL.
Nathan Brown, 29%. Have you got that? So Johnny's still in the lead. I'll just press pause for a second so we can have a look at the leaderboard. Johnny in the lead.
How am I doing? Where am I? I'm not on there.
You weren't far behind, Matt. You must be down in joint third somewhere. In joint second, we got Gaz the Great, Matt Benlockett, and Key Warrior is there as well. So Johnny, the pressure's on Johnny now. He's got 3 more questions and he's leading the way.
Slip up, Johnny.
Don't slip up. Which Wigan prop was sin-binned in the 1990 Regal Trophy final? I feel like there's pressure on Johnny now.
Calvin Skellett.
I'm mostly guessing, so.
Calvin Skellett.
Andy Platt, 8.3%. Again, people have gone for Calvin Skellett.
That's because Platt was just kind of like the small guy next to Skerritt.
Johnny got that right. He's taking a 20-point lead. Which Wigan forward is one of the only 3 men to have won the World Club Challenge with an Australian team and an English team?
Oh, did you manage to shift this in the end?
Yeah. Frank Paul Nuasala, 72% of you got that. Going into last 2 questions, pressure is still on Johnny. He's on 120 points. Key Warrior on 100 and Gaz the Great on 100. Now, if Johnny gets one more question right, he's pretty much won it.
I've got an idea.
Mark Illingworth there.
I've got an idea. Make it exciting. Got an idea. The last question, whoever gets it right and the fastest wins the whole competition. How does that sound?
That sounds like you've got any right so far, Matthew.
If we could actually do that. So Mark, it looks like you're playing to try and secure 2nd or 3rd spot potentially. And remember, fastest finger first on the last question. Last 2 coming up. Tension.
If only I'd have had an extra second on that bloody question.
Which legendary back registered his first international try in his 31st and final Test appearance?
Oh, it's not. Is it?
Look at that. Answer Gary Connolly, 40% of you. Which means Johnny got that right as well. He's taking the
winner.
Lead. He's the winner. We've got 1 question left.
Johnny.
1 question. Find the fastest finger first to separate the rest of the table. Johnny looks like he's won this, 130 points. Key Warrior in 2nd, 110. Gaz the Great 3rd. Vialiki, the greatest of all time, in 4th, including a Vialiki
which is
photograph.
Actually quite apt.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So and Tony is joint 4th as well with Vialiki. So it'll be fastest finger first between you 2. So all on this question. Which Wigan overseas signing was a talented cricket player who played for Sydney grade level with Australian captain Michael Clarke?
I hit one fast, and then I think I got the wrong answer.
Answer. Pat Richards, 68% of you got that right. Johnny has won 140 points. Key Warrior in second. Gaz the Great in third. Let's have a look at this. Let's see. Mark Illingworth came seventh. Hey. So well done, Mark.
Joint fourth on 100 points.
He came seventh.
That basically means I got half. That's pretty crap.
But they're tough questions. Ewan doesn't put easy questions together, and they were some of the easier ones of the hard ones.
Is there a general knowledge round?
There can be if you would like there to be. So there you have it. Johnny, the winner with 140 points.
Well done,
Johnny, get in touch with us, and we'll get you in touch with Matthew to claim those cinema tickets. Thanks again, Matthew, for that. Key Warrior in second. So Key Warrior was Kieran. He's just put it in there. So well done, Kieran. He is a Key Warrior. Maybe I assume that he's a key worker. Why he's called Key Warrior. So well done, Kieran in second, and Gaz the Great with 110 points. He works for Timpsons. Right, let's get rid of this screen and everybody come back on. Right, how was that? I feel like next time. I
loved it.
And we've got plenty of questions for next time. In fact, we've got plenty of questions to do our own book and run away off into the sunset if we wanted to. My dad came 17th. That's pretty impressive. 17th. We will do another one. Make the weekend. And what the time limit felt really fast for me, and I wasn't answering them. Did it feel really fast for you?
I'd give us an extra few seconds if you could.
Yeah. So we'll extend that a little bit. But we've got loads of questions.
Because I got trigger happy, like thinking I need to pick something quick, so I'll just pick one, and then read the question properly and thought, oh no, it's that guy.
Kieran says no, he's a tutor. He doesn't work at Timpson's. It's a silly boy. So yeah, right. Let's get more time to answer on the next one. We've got 6th place there. Mel didn't play, which I found that was fun. So yeah, thank you. Matt Pryor came 20th. I think if I was doing that, yeah, he got the Pat Richards one right though. I think if I was doing that, I would have come down near the bottom as well. Those questions are pretty hard. Neil says he struggled to read questions and answers and packed it 2 seconds left. That's what I love about that is the countdown clock. So that seems to have been a relative success. So we'll definitely do that.
10 seconds between the questions felt much longer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's psychological. Matthew, where did you come?
Yeah, tell us, Matthew.
It doesn't matter that part. It wouldn't even show me. It does the top 10, so it wouldn't show me. So
it says at the top.
It tells you where you came.
Hang on, I've got how many entered?
800.
Well, I didn't come.
Gary Ormiston was Gary the Great. He came third. Who's watching on Twitter? Adrian says tremendous quiz, nice one. Yeah, I'm liking the love for this, so we'll do another one at some point.
Stu, where did you come from?
Where did you come from? Where did you come in the quiz?
Where did you come from? That's everywhere. I'm where I've come from. Created, that's what I'm saying. I didn't log in, but I was going to log in. And hang on, shush. I'm going to log in, and then I got the phone call thinking, hang on, I'm not on tonight. Why is my Skype ringing? So that's why. So you caught us unawares. I was gonna, but then I thought, well, I'll just answer them on my ear. I got 6 right. So there you go. That's what I'm saying.
On the me.
Good honesty.
Where did you come?
Probably Matthew, and then me above Matthew. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Was there how many entered? Was there 24 people that entered, or was there more?
I don't know.
35 or 36.
35, yeah.
I didn't come last then.
I'm just. There's some comments that have come through about actual rugby, which we'll go through in just a second. I forgot about that. But what I'm gonna do is just save something. I want to bring it on screen in just a second because Matt, you've just inspired me. I've just remembered who you look like with those headphones on, so I'll just bring it on screen, and then you can enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you who I'm putting on screen, because I'll just let you enjoy it later on when you watch it back. But I'll just try and find that. One of the questions before we went off to the quiz, I'm just going to find it, was from Jeff Harker, and I'll sort of open this up to the board, was, do you think Wigan should go for Brad Dwyer as he's been told that he can look elsewhere? I've not heard that. I've always liked Brad Dwyer. He's from Wigan as well, isn't he? Matt, over to you to start with. Brad Dwyer, if he's surplus for requirements at Leeds?
I think he'd be surplus to requirements at Wigan, because we've got a good young hooker coming through in Amar Bruh. What's his name? Baru.
Baru. I like that one.
Roden as well, isn't there?
So yeah, I'm not. I like him as a player, but I don't think we really need him, to be honest.
Mark, your thoughts on that?
I agree with Matt. I think is a quality impact kind of buzzing around the base of the ruck kind of hooker, but we don't necessarily. I've just seen the picture. We don't necessarily need him. I don't think, because he's a similar type of player, I think, to our young guys that are coming through. And if we need anyone to complement Powell off the bench, then that we've already got them there at a lower cost than Brad Dwyer would come at.
Matt, every time you speak, there's a picture of Kevin Keegan during his
I know.
during his rant.
I know.
It's the bins. It's the bins around your ears.
He'd love it if he won that quiz.
Yeah, I'd love it if we signed Brad Dwyer. I'd love it. Stu, your thoughts, Brad Dwyer? If we had the option of taking him, would you want him?
He's a good player, but as the other two lads have just said, why do we need him? You know, we've got cover. Harry Smith, can he cover that position as well? You know, so we've got plenty in that position, as you say. So, as you say, he's a good player, but we don't need him, do we? So, there you go. But Matt, the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to rack my brains who you look like with them glasses on. And I was thinking to myself, who does Matt McCauley look like with them glasses on? And Matt McCauley, do you know who you look like?
Tell me.
The guy that does Count Arthur Strong. You're the double of him with them glasses on and the haircut, man.
Your references, Stuart.
Where's he pulled that reference from?
I will take that as a compliment.
They bother, Paul, because I've been.
You've seen him live? Have you seen him live?
I have. Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
I've got to go and see him.
Hey, Matt, the best of it was, before this lockdown started, it was coming into your neck of the woods.
I know.
And wait, next question, gone, Sean.
Matthew, are you aware?
I agree.
Yeah, you.
No, I didn't know anything about this. I just agree what was said.
To be honest, I didn't know anything about the fact that Brad Dwyer had been told to go elsewhere. Here's one.
Well, all our contract players are open for negotiation from Saturday onwards, and the clubs don't have to have told the players whether they want to keep them or not. I'm pretty sure on our list of players, Morgan Escray will have been told, thanks for your service. You were good in that 2017 World Club Challenge. See you later. But other than that, I think most of our players will be up in the air as well. That I left Joe Burgess, Sean O'Loughlin, Tommy Lulawai. I guess it's on them too, isn't it? Whether they want to retire or not.
Flower.
And Ben Flower was the other one I was going to come to. I think is the maybe Flower and Burgess are probably the two ones that the club has to make decisions on, and it's whether they'll have interest from elsewhere. We understand from Catalans, don't we, from earlier in the season? But I'm not sure. But yeah, I think with Lulawai and O'Loughlin, I can't see them going and pulling on another jersey at this stage of their careers. But it'd be interesting to see if they want to go around another year, wouldn't it?
Gary says a deadline's got shifted due to lockdown. I mean, I've not seen that, but you can. That would make sense. But it's
our old friend Phil Wilkinson reported in Wigan today that the deadline for clubs to tell players if they want to retain them or not has been moved out till the 26th of June. However, the May the 1st deadline of when players can start talking to other clubs after that deadline remains in place. So you would think the clubs will tell the players that they want to keep them.
The biggest problem with Morgan Escray is, have they told him in French? Because if they told him in English, he still thinks he's wanted. I mean, that's the biggest concern. Maybe that's why he's still a Wigan player all this time. because we've not paid any. We've not paid for a French interpreter. We got rid of him. We sent
Morgan.
him to Wakefield.
None.
With what Mark was just saying, can I speak or do you want me to wait?
Of course you can speak. You don't need to put your hand on.
Right, so with what you just saying about with Luluai and Sean O'Loughlin, there's no way that Sean will retire after. I mean, it's up for debate, but for me, him and Simfield are the best Super League players of all time, given the longevity at the top of the game. There's no way a player that has achieved what he's achieved and done what he's done for rugby league in the last 15 years, more than that even.
If he plays next year, it'll be his 20th season in the first team.
So there's no way that he can just retire now like that. So let's be honest, the last couple of years, he's had a lot of injuries, hasn't he? And we've done well to kind of save him for the big ones. So there's no reason why we couldn't do that again next season, while giving another player a chance to be captain, whether that's going to be Farrell, for example. Thomas Luluai, I think it's very different, isn't it, with him? He could go, I don't know if him and Natalie planning to go back to New Zealand, but it's completely different to O'Loughlin. There's no way O'Loughlin could just retire now and we go, well, he was brilliant, wasn't he? Because it wouldn't be the first send-off at all for him.
I think Luluai's wife is from Wigan, isn't she? So, and I think that's one of the reasons why they came. Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why they came back from New Zealand. But it's whether do Wigan want them to go around for another year. Sean O'Loughlin, you'd say yes. Thomas Luluai, he's not going to be on a cheap wage. We've got Harry Smith coming through. We can now pay him under 15 grand a year if we wanted to, thanks to the RFL, which Mel's just put on. So
not next year. This has been blown out of all proportion. It's a temporary measure for this year for the fact that they're going to make people play 3 games a week to complete the season, which in itself is a nonsense. But that's the only reason this rule has changed. There's players in our squad.
Though, because that temporary measure may just creep in.
Not this one. It
might, but the players' union would have something to say about that. There's players in our squad right now that play in our reserves, that play in our under-19s, that are contracted for less than £15,000 a year. That exists. Those players will not change. What the difference is, if one of those players had made a Super League debut in years gone by, Wigan would automatically have to up their salary to £15,000 for that year. Yeah. Okay, so those players that already exist in that structure who haven't played Super League, it's just this year the clubs don't have to increase the salary. I would desperately hope that the rule is brought in. In fact, I think the minimum wage should be higher for players playing in the Super League, most definitely. But it's a temporary measure, and I think we've all lost our minds a bit over something that is clearly a temporary measure in an extreme circumstance.
I think, Mark, what's happened is that people have read a headline and not read anything further than that headline. Because I think it does make sense as a temporary measure.
But it can be exploited though for this year by some clubs. So if they wanted to, I mean, Wigan. I think Wigan, first of all, that ruling. I don't know whether it was in place in 2003, but Wigan would have been screwed in 2003 if it was after that Good Friday game. You would pay everybody 15 grand. John Whittle got 15 grand. So we would have been screwed after that.
No, his salary would have had to have been 15 grand, but then you sack him the next day. You don't have to pay him for the next 8 months of the year, do you?
I think he was on the books of Orrell, wasn't he? So Mr. Whelan was paying both of those, so he would have got around that way. As a headline though, Matt, I agree completely with what you're saying. People read a headline. But isn't that part of the thing, the fact that they're reading the headline that doesn't put rugby league in a particularly good light, and then shines this sort of light on rugby league as this sort of poor sport that can't even look after the players that we want to progress, and why would they stay with rugby league? I get what the depth in there, but a lot of people don't read depth. That's what we've left Europe. People don't read depth. Sorry, Steve. But that's what happens. So it's dangerous in itself, isn't it?
It is, but one thing you can't do is control the way the media are going to publicise your decisions. What you can do though is get in there first and try to put the story around in a more positive light. With kind of your own story first. Just ask Donald Trump. That tends to work.
I think it's a case of people don't like it, do they, Matt? People don't want this to have to be the case. But at the same time, there's no reserves. We know that. I think we briefly talked about that last week, didn't we? It had just been announced that day. There's no reserves for these players to play in. They might actually only get game action by playing in the first team anyway for the rest of the year.
And if we have to go to a situation where we're playing more than one game a week, we're going to need those younger players. And if that happens, incidentally, that's going to work really well for Wigan. I mean, Wigan have got, there are other teams who are going to really, really struggle again. The likes of Salford and
Toronto.
Their players are going to be knackered.
And Catalans, of course, who can't even play any home games. We'll come on to that in just a second. But I think that one of the big things with this is whether it can work a different ways. If Wigan decide, you know what, we're going to pay the likes of, if we have to play 2-3 games a week, you can see the likes of Umila Hanley making his debut. So use him as an example. If Wigan, we don't know what salary he's on, but if he's on 15 grand or he gets that 15 grand from playing for Wigan, we want to pay him that 15 grand, but we don't want that to count on the salary cap because we're actually doing good by the player, which surely the intention should be. So I would hope that there's a foresight from the RFL or whoever that if clubs do choose to sort of honour that the salary cap sort of implications are sort of relaxed in favour of that as well.
Well, doesn't the salary cap only apply to your top 25 earners anyway?
Top 25 earners, but
then there's an allowance, isn't there, for how much you can spend on?
I mean, nobody knows
how much
it works.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated. It's. I think everyone has to see that there's going to be temporary things that we don't like, and this is something to not like. But at the same time, if all these young players start joining the players' union, they can start having a bigger voice in the game going forward. I mean, have you read Gareth Carvell's name? Gareth Carvell played for 15 years in our league. I don't think I saw him mentioned as many times in a week in press articles when he was a player as I've seen him being mentioned these last few weeks. So that's showing that the players' union is starting to have a growing presence, which I think is a good thing. Our players deserve more of a voice in our sport.
Stu, Matthew, will come to you on this one. So Catalans, obviously it's been announced that France won't have any sport. Is it until September? You can't play any sport in France, which obviously has a knock-on effect on Toulouse, especially in the Championship. Catalans over here. Stu, what's the solution? You managed to give us the idea of pay-per-view, which is being taken up by Super League and the RFL. Obviously, they watch this show in particular for your contribution. So how do you sort a problem like France, Stu?
Well, I read something the other day on, I think it was Fox Sports website in Australia, where they're toying with flying Auckland Warriors in when there's this 28 question mark 28th of May start date. Is there any way they could do that? I know that means we're coming over the North quarantine and all this kind of rules, but is there any way they could do that? I don't know.
Is that fair though on the players? Is that fair?
On the rugby league, on the Sky Sports one, what's the Sky Sports podcast called? Anyway, Golden Point on that today. Steve McNamara was on and said that the Catalans have actually been in conversations with the New Zealand Warriors to see how they're looking to get around the problem on their side of the world.
Yeah.
But Matt's got a solution anyway. So
let's go on.
There is a little island just next to Guernsey called Sark. It's pretty much its own state, right? They could move there and play home games on the Isle of Sark. There's no laws there. You can kill people, have sex with sheep.
To be damned.
So they could play their home games there and play their away games as normal. It's fine.
What does the stadium look like on Sark, Matt?
Well, that is a slight drawback, admittedly. However,
modern day Far Town.
I don't think the island itself is big enough for a stadium as such. But I'm sure you'd get a pitch on there.
I mean, half a pitch on Sark and half a pitch on Guernsey, do you think?
Yeah, or just like a shelf going out into the sea would do it.
Martin says New Zealand are going to quarantine for 14 days before the NRL starts again. But interesting to know that they're sort of watching that. Matthew, your thoughts on that? The fact that we've one of the biggest sort of, I guess, disadvantages of globalisation of Super League has been that we've got this disbursement of teams now. Toronto are pretty much Manchester Wolfpack when we need them to be. They're based in Manchester, so we don't really need to worry about them. But what about Catalans, and what's your solution, the Wigan runner?
Well, not be too political, but I think our problem is worse than France now. Now they've included, the Kerns and stuff. So I think we're going to be in lockdown. Like they was talking about the Premier League this week, aren't they? Because they said that their league isn't going to continue. So there's no way the Premier League's going to continue. And I don't think Super League's going to continue this season either, because I think we're going to be in quarantine for at least another 6 weeks. The only way around I could see it is let's say it was September time onwards, that's almost when the season's ending, isn't it? So the only way it could continue then would be to the end of the year, and then next season start a little bit delayed, maybe April time. But it's crossed my mind. It's going to have to be cancelled, that, isn't it? It's going to have to be the year after, instead of some of the tests. But what about having 30-minute half games as well? And then they would be able to fit in 2 games a week as well. So if they had 60-minute game, 30 minutes per half, would that be doable to do that way? So it's got less of the impact on the players and being able to play 2 games a week. There's that as well. And the big thing as well we've got to remember, for our sport to survive, the contract ends as well. I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago. It's what happened at the worst possible time, hasn't it, for the contract with Sky to be extended. So where's that going to leave us, rugby league, next season as well because of that? It feels a bit weird talking like that, because I feel like lots of sports are now in that similar predicament. But for rugby league, it was already massively important for us, wasn't it, to get basically an improved deal with Sky.
Matthew, is this not an opportunity to show Sky that we're actually a sport they can rely on? If we can get our rugby league can get its act together, if we can get our act together and deliver them something, then surely that's kind of building the relationship between us and Sky.
Yeah, but are we going to say we do that and it'd be dangerous because of it? Because that game that Castleford played when every other sport was locked down, it was a good opportunity for rugby league to be promoted, wasn't it? But every other sport had been stopped then, hasn't it?
I don't think we got any real negative headlines from that, did we? Not the same as the Gold Cup.
We turned it into positive. We got
which was good.
We got Chris Kamara there. I think, honestly, Matthew, I think if rugby league doesn't play again, thanks for showing us your thumb. If rugby league doesn't play again until next year, then rugby league doesn't exist as a professional sport. That's the end of it. Simple as. You can't fulfil your contract with Sky. Why is Sky then going to support us?
We've still got a Sky. The Sky deal runs through next season, but so if we're playing, they have to pay us money. But yeah, it could be that 2 instalments from this calendar year get missed, couldn't it? Like Matthew's saying, if we're not playing at all, which is a worry. Which is why I think the sport has to find, depending on what the government schemes that keep going with the furlough scheme. But if that ends in June, the current sort of cut-off, then we have to be playing again in July behind closed doors, some way or some form.
Can I just ask?
We can't survive.
Can I just ask a quick question
without it?
Go on, Kevin.
Put your hand up if you've cancelled or suspended your Sky Sports subscription since rugby league stopped. Right now, there is an incentive for Sky to stick with us because they are losing money from all the people who watch rugby league, and it is a lot of people.
I actually didn't. You could have suspended it about a week before I did. I think I waited until the NRL stopped because I was like, well, I'm still watching.
I did.
But the thing is, you could have paused it, and they give you the channels anyway, don't they?
That's what I've done. Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah. I'd love it if rugby league was the sport that started charging people for Sky Sports again. I'd love it.
Yes.
Pay-per-view.
But yeah, pay-per-view is obviously there as well, isn't it? Look, this is. I don't think this is going to go away, and I think next week we can still we'll still probably have the.
There's no real. Every solution brings another question, doesn't it? I saw someone saying we could play until December, but then players' contracts run until the 30th of November. So it's hopeless.
I mean, can you imagine in that scenario where we play? Games? Just run with that scenario for a second that Mark's just said. We run with that, and you've got somebody. Let's use Jackson Hastings for example. In the form of his life, just wins the second Man of Steel award, and then on the 1st of December, just about before we're about to play a grand final, says, "Nah, I'm off." It's not going to happen, but it could happen in that scenario if the contract's ended. Sorry, Matthew, what were you saying?
Do you think that a 60-minute game could work to try and squeeze more in? And also
completely ruins the integrity of the sport.
My biggest objection to it is we'd have to scrap the 7 rounds already played under 80 minutes. And we also wouldn't be able to call these people true champions of our sport because they're not playing under the match day regulations. I think it's a bit.
It's just a big danger of that, isn't there?
There's no reason. The longer this goes on, Matthew, there's definitely a reason for us to start thinking of different options. At this stage, with a relatively realistic July restart, I think there's an opportunity to get a 22-game season completed by the end of November. But
you know what? I've got a real big problem, Matthew Melling, with the 60-minute game idea. All those 79-minute last-minute tries that we'll miss ruin it for me.
I think if you said
it shows in the toilet,
the sport, and it does. But I think to myself, could that almost be an opportunity to reach out to people who don't know about rugby league to see it as a more... and if we could find that the public who don't know about rugby league suddenly start liking it because it's short period. I don't know.
These radical ideas are for when we realise that we definitely can't get a complete season in. So we can't name a normal champion. And at this stage, people are holding out hope that if we start in July, we can get a full season in by the end of November, but there'll be no Ashes. But NRL have basically decided there's no Ashes anyway, haven't they? So
they forgot about that, didn't they?
So I think those sorts of a bit more out there ideas like that, Matthew, are for, like you say, for the end of it when we know we can't get a proper season. Well, how can we get some sort of rugby league entertainment out there for people to watch? And then I'd be all for these sorts of ideas, 9s events, for a full day or 60-minute matches. Then
at the minute we've got to try and keep the integrity of the sport as it is for as much as possible. Otherwise, like you said, whoever wins the Super League will be viewed as not real champions and all sorts of things like that. There's a real danger with that. And what do you do with the first 7 rounds, like has been said?
Well, you just call us champions, don't you? Because we're top. But
that's we'll call it a day now. We'll be Super League champions, and the rest of it we'll get the old Premiership trophy out and we'll play for that. Sound good?
Rob, the cast fan, thinks that we just say like it's a winner stays on scenario. So the person who won the last game should be champion.
I like that idea. Look, this debate's not going to escape us, and we'll have plenty of time next week as well. We'll do another quiz at some point. We'll have longer extra time between the questions. Johnny, whoever you are, sort of make yourself known, and we'll put you in touch with the Wigan runner. He's off to go and talk to Scarecrows and pick his favourite Scarecrow this evening.
That's the winner.
That's the winner.
That's the winner, by the way.
It's Captain Tom Moore.
217 likes they've got. It says Heroes Don't Fly, They Walk, and it's got Captain Tom. So if someone can direct message you and tell me who it is and or the person that's won, direct message me so I know where to deliver it.
Just go to the house, you know where the Scarecrow is.
I know, but there was that many. I can't remember where it was.
He's not going to have gone far, he'll still be outside.
Yeah, there was about 300. Sorry, yeah.
Right, guys, gents, thank you for taking the time to do the quiz. Stu, great effort with the quiz tonight, it's got to be said.
Yeah, I'm not bothered. I didn't come last. Man below us come last. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean, Matty? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Number one.
Matthew, thank you, and thank you for your generosity with the prize as well. Mark has a blog post which tells us exactly how to restart the season, I think, pretty much.
No, it's not restarting the season. I gave up on that. I gave up on trying to come up with restarting the season. It's more what we do in a year or two's time with the sport. Rather, I just gave up. I was trying to write it for about a month, mate. I just couldn't.
We'll share that onto the page later on.
There's also the latest episode of Super League Pod to check out where we talk about prop forwards, and we had briefly former Wigan prop forward Barry McDermott on the show as well.
I'll take him off. So we've got a prop forward special there, and if you haven't seen
Barry McDermott.
From Kevin Keegan, who's on the screen just below me. He's done. Oh, we'll bring Matthew back. He's come back to say bye.
Right.
If you haven't seen Matt's poem, the beautifully put poem, give it a bit of time. Like I say, it does start with a bit of Rolf Harris. You've got to bypass that. And there's some great cultural references in there. So well done, Matt, for that. It's
the new podcast episode came out today as well, didn't it, Matt?
Barking Toad, episode 3, yes. If you like a bit of trivia and your comedy, Barking Toad Trivial Pursuit podcast is for you.
We'll share
the longest game of Trivial Pursuit ever.
We'll share a link for that as well, so people can get the fix of comedy.
Cheers.
Matthew, you've been away to get your cinema tickets?
Yes, these are price. What was the guy that's won?
Johnny. We don't know who Johnny is, but I'll check it out because his email address should be with his registration.
There you go, Johnny. These are yours. And Captain Tom Scarecrow's won 2 as well.
They don't need to go together, though. They're not 4 tickets together, are they?
No, 2 and 2.
Right. Gents, thank you for your time this evening. Thank you, everybody, for watching and taking part in the quiz. And we'll see you at some point over the next week. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.